All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. If you've been tuning in each week, you'll remember last week we spoke with Brittany Cirillo. I've said it wrong, but so she was great. She was with Alternative Therapeutics, and we talked about alternative therapies like neurofeedback, biofeedback, and hypnotherapy. So it's a really interesting episode last week, so you can go back and watch that one. But as we continue on in this wellness education journey, we have Nicole with us, and so we're excited to dig into the world of music and how that impacts our overall well-being.
Yay! Okay, so today I'm so excited to bring Nicole West on here to talk about music. Nicole, can you kind of give us just a nice intro, background, education, personal things, whatever you want to share?
Sure. Well, I'm an LPC or licensed professional counselor. I currently work at a nonprofit community mental health agency, specifically working with adults with severe and persistent mental illness. But for many, many years before I joined this team, I actually worked with all ages of people in therapy and strong history and case management. So I've kind of done a whole array of things in the mental health field, but all in the community, all in people's homes. So I got to see the good stuff. I get to see it all. I love that. But yeah, currently I'm working with mostly adults, and I would love in some way soon to dip my toes maybe into working back with some teens, because I also love working with them.
Teens are Kelsi's kind of wheelhouse too. Teens, young adults.
Yes.
Now, you said the good stuff. Can you kind of elaborate that? Because you said, going to people's homes, the good stuff. Not everyone might make that same connection.
Well, I know that when I had this idea of what therapy was going to look like before I got to work in the field of mental health, I'd always picture myself sitting in an office, maybe with a notepad, asking people about their deep thoughts and trying to help them come up with ways to cope. But I never really thought about what that would look like, to see all the other parts of somebody's life that they might not think to talk about in the therapy room. So if I'm in somebody's home, I might get to see, a family member walking through, pets, hear the noises that they hear in their house and in their community. It's all the stuff that you don't think about when you're within those four walls of an office. And I love that I have the opportunity and the privilege to see all those things and to maybe help a person make a connection, how all that impacts their thinking and their functioning.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's environment. When my internships, like going through college, I did a lot of case management type stuff, similar, going out into the community and just seeing how individuals seeing their environment that they're living in every day and the impact that can have on well-being, for sure. And things that you can help them with that maybe they don't really have anybody else, to help them with something like that, whether it's like little organization tasks or, what do we need, for healthier nutrition? What do we got here? And a lot of stuff that you can see inside of a therapy office.
What is that quote or that saying, the plant can only grow in you kind of got to move it out of the, it's not
bloom where you're planted.
Basically, right? Like if you're in a toxic environment, if you don't have the right soil and the right fertilizer and the right sunlight and the right water, you're not going to be able to bloom. Whereas if you are going in their home and you can see these things that are impacting their ability to thrive, you can point them out and help them get resources. It's so beautiful. And I love that you have that viewpoint on it, because a lot of people have a different viewpoint on, in-home work. And even just doing telehealth now, right? Like it's definitely not being in their home with them, the smells and the sound as much as you see it, but even just being in people's homes and being able to see their animals or see their living environment, you're right, it does really help in the therapeutic process.
Yeah. And even in teletherapy, I might hear a noise in the background and say, oh, hey, was that, and point out something, that I know typically goes on in the home. But yeah, I love it.
I love it. So Nicole, we know you're a mental health professional, you said you're LPC, but so why Why the topic of music today, or kind of what led you to choose that as our topic for today? I'm super excited.
Well, I've always kind of looked at, excuse me, um, what kinds of things that I might do in my own life that I can really relate to someone on, whether it's in the therapy relationship or not. And I've always kind of said to myself, like when I'm looking at all these different ways that music can help, music is connection
Mhm.
on so many levels. And, when we're talking about therapy and trying to make change, like, and we look at an individual or even the system that they're in, we say, we look at the biopsychosocial spiritual aspects. So all these different systems that work together, and you can literally use music to make connections in every one of those areas.
You said music is connection, and my heart warmed.
Exactly. It That's the social aspect of it. We have literally used music to connect us
Yes.
in different ways. You can socially connect with almost anybody if you talk about music, not even in therapy, just in
Mhm.
everyday conversation. I literally saw a picture one time on social media. I don't remember where it was, the context of it, but it was some writing on a bathroom wall, and it said, "If you listen to the same band, you're never strangers." And I love that because it's true. There's some
That's so
reason that
cool.
that band connects you. You can start any kind of conversation about it.
Ah, okay. I love it. So music is obviously big to you. You see it as a connection to people. People are important in our lives. Connections are important. So how can music, kind of support us in our well-being or maybe not be so helpful? Because we're very aware that any coping skill, depending on how it's used, can be helpful or harmful. So, I always like to give the example if maybe I was meeting with my client, yesterday, and we worked out a treatment plan and they said, I'm going to go jogging a mile every morning. And I happen to be driving to work the next day and I see my client jogging. I might think, oh, they're following through on that plan. But I might later find out at next week's session that they were jogging because they binged the night before. And so now they're trying to work that off. So I always like to look through things at that lens because people, I think, should be very aware of the tools that they're using and their power one way or the other. So can you
Yes.
kind of share with that point of view with music?
Yeah. So especially if we're talking about just learning how appropriate for that person, at least what angle you're going to take in using music. And if we're talking about trying to first make the connection of how does music play a part in that person's life, you mentioned maybe there's a substance use connection, or maybe they've experienced trauma and some music reminds them of that trauma. Like, first we're going to want to make sure, how can we safely do this? Is it appropriate? And if one of their triggers is related to music in some way, it's still a connection in therapy because you're finding a goal to work on. Maybe you're trying to help them reconnect with their world in a safe way. And if music makes them feel unsafe, it's still a way to bridge that gap into, what do I want to change? What do I need? How can I feel safe?
Mhm.
So what sorts of things have you done with clients, like specifically as far as, or teaching them or personally, like can you give me like real life examples of things that would be helpful with music?
So many. So I'll try to keep the list organized so our brains can all be happy.
Yeah.
um, Personally, I find it hard to find a situation where I'm not using it in some way, whether it's on in the background or it's part of my coping and relaxation for the day. But I would say a big one for sure. And I should preface this with, I am not a music therapist by license. I know a couple weeks back you had Jenna, who was licensed in art therapy. I am not actually licensed. I've just learned how to adapt some skills using like cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. Um, it's just kind of adapted stuff. So just to put that out there, I'm not actually a music therapist, but I've read a lot of the research just to support the things that I'm doing. Um, but personally, I love to make a good playlist. And I know this is a an example of connection because you can share playlists with people. I know Amanda has shared some songs with me recently that have literally jumped to my favorites. um, so there's that connection again. But you can make a playlist for motivation, for courage, for cleaning your house, for exercise. Some people might make a playlist of things that they need to listen to get their sadness out of the way for a little bit. And if we're in therapy and I'm noticing a theme of they're picking a lot of sad songs, we're going to really explore, why are we stuck on that? What is it that we need to move past before we feel like we can safely move on? I have a lot of worksheets of songs that remind you of, a whole bunch of different topics, like songs that remind you of happy times, songs that remind you of something that you battled. Like, I'd have to pull it up to list a lot of them, but it's a really good tool to get someone thinking about how they connect with music, or even things that they can listen to when they're trying to come up with a coping routine or relaxation. A good mindfulness type skill to use with music. I really like to teach people how to listen to music with their bodies. So you might want to
like jam where me and Amanda are like smiling.
Yes.
I was like, she said mindfulness, and then she said, listen in your bodies. Whew, there it is.
Yes. I can literally go back to a specific session that I had with a client, a teen, actually, an older teen. And I remember, like, she'd always liked music. I always heard it on at her house. Like, her family was always listening to it. But then when I'd ask her, what do you like to listen to when you like to get pumped up, or when you're trying to get motivated? She's like, I don't know. She just couldn't make that connection. And then one day we were driving, and this is different, working in the community, and also we're not doing this right now. I had her in my car with me. I don't remember the reason. And we got back to her house, and this song came on, and she's like, I could see her kind of trying to bob along. And I was like, ooh, we're going to use this moment as a teaching moment. And, I was parked. We made sure it was a good, safe environment. I think we're actually in her driveway. And I was like, okay, do you want to learn how to enjoy this even more when you go home? And she's like, yeah. And she kind of looked at me funny. And I said, this might sound
love the look you get from teens when you're getting ready to tell them something and they're like, I don't know.
Like, I think I just noticed myself doing like a side eye twice while I was talking about that. But I told her, I was like, okay, if you want to learn how to enjoy this even more when you go home, because it seems like you're feeling this. So I told her, close her eyes and just do some breathing real quick, like just to get herself centered and grounded. And then I was like asking her, when you're listening to this song, like, can you pick out like what instrument or what part of the song that like clicks with your brain? And she could point out like the bass line of the song, because she kind of like, she didn't really sing it, but she was trying to like hum the noise along. I was like, oh, perfect. I was like, if you were standing up in your house, where do you think you would start dancing first? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, just keep thinking about it. If you're imagining yourself in your house and this song came on, how would you start dancing? And she kind of like did like a chest kind of bob thing. And I was like, okay. So if you hear this song and you're trying to, say you need a song to pump you up a little bit, you're getting annoyed or feeling unmotivated, and you put this song on, remember, when you put it on, close your eyes and like feel that beat, let yourself just like get the shoulders going. And she was like, that's so cool. and seriously, a couple weeks later, a song came on the radio when we were in the car again. I think I was picking her up from like an after school activity or something. It was some kind of routine. And I remember a song came on the radio and she goes, ooh, this song is more of a hip song.
Yes.
And I was so proud of her. She was like, this is a song if I go in the house, I'm like, I'm working my hips, I'm dancing around. It was like the best moment. I was so proud.
Those are like proud therapist moments where you're like, I didn't even have to
skill and like use it in so many different things. Like you can apply that once they get that, okay, what does this make you feel and where at in your body? And then you can use that for so many things, and build off of that skill 1000%.
I love that too. Building off skills. Like
And
there's
what,
always something else.
yeah.
And I love whenever like they
transferable.
circle back around and they bring something, to us. They were like, this song, like how you seen it. And then she mentioned like, oh, I feel this one like in my hips, and it, like sticks with them. I love stuff like that.
Yes.
And
And
I
then,
think
too, if you're teaching somebody about a skill and you can expand on it even more and say, part of, or maybe if somebody's asking, what's the research behind that? Why is that evidence-based? And you can say, well, when you're listening to music and you're dancing, like you're releasing dopamine into your body. There's a feel-good reward chemical that you're getting. You're releasing endorphins. One of the same things when you work out. You feel physically better when you do it because you're actually letting your body do a biological thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And stress and trauma research would say we're literally getting those we're dancing those emotions out, right? And then if you even go as far as like energy psychology, it's like clearing out, all your energy centers and releasing that. Don't get me on a pedestal about chakras over here.
You can, because you made that connection because of what we're talking about.
I know, isn't it beautiful? And the other thing I love is the reason I'm in this profession is I want to empower everybody to understand how to take care of their wellness, right? And so what you did with one song was taught that girl how to tune into her body intuitively and pay attention. And then second nature, next time she heard a song, say, oh, that's a hip song. And now that's going to carry with her forever. And it's not going to feel awkward or like, oh, I do this because my therapist, Nicole, told me. That feels right for my body in the moment.
Yes. And I do a lot of work like with, my adult and teen clients with tuning into their body for like, I call them pleasant or unpleasant events, but like, cause I don't use like good and bad, but tuning into their body and during pleasant events like that, listening to music and such, and building that skill, and then applying that to know, okay, I'm feeling something that's unpleasant, and then connecting to that and saying, what's something pleasant that I know I've felt in other parts of my body that I can do right now, to relieve that. It's like another step after that. So I need to do more of that. Thank you.
And thank you for that perspective.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
Okay. Mike, can I go? Did I cut you off?
You go. You go. No, you go. This is going to be a good blooper reel. I'm excited.
We still need to do one. I know it. So, Nicole, what do you feel like if you could give somebody just like a couple realistic tools or coping skills, just, for our community that are listening and viewing, something that they can try out today if they wanted to? Like, the mindfulness one is great. Is there any other ones that come like right off the top of your head that like you would really recommend and say like, you can try this today and you'll notice this from it, or pay attention to this?
Sure. Another I would call this more of like a cognitive behavioral technique would be like, say you have a go-to song for whatever reason, whether it's something that makes you feel good, or even something that reminds you of one of those unpleasant events like you're talking about, but it's something that you connect with. If you can sit back and maybe go to the lyrics and really look at them and try to figure out why you connect with that. Is it something that you're thinking or feeling? Is it a memory? Is it just something that they say resonate with you and remind you of how you feel about yourself? There's so many different avenues you can take with looking at the words of a song. And even when talking about those unpleasant events, say it's a song that reminds them of something really tough, finding the opportunity to work through, why does this hurt me and how can I change it? There's
I love
a
that,
lot.
'cause I feel like if somebody, I've heard like if teens are listening, to sad music all the time, I feel like they're kind of stereotyped or generalized for doing that. And instead of looking at them and saying, just don't listen to sad music. What are you doing? Why would you listen to that? Like, I love how you go underneath of it. Like, why are we stuck there? And then going to the lyrics, like you said, anybody can do that. So
Right. And, I like what you said too about, just saying to like a teen, and this can be an adult too, of course,
Yeah,
but we talk about teens, and a lot of times, teens are so misunderstood by their parents, which is why they come to therapy sometimes. Um, sometimes teens, like, they use that even sad music as connection too, because others listen to it and they get it, you
Yes.
know, and they feel seen and heard. And so if you can expand more on why does that make them feel connected to others, there's another door.
Mhm.
So, yeah, looking at lyrics is a good thing. Like we said, make a playlist. Make here's a good one, and this is something that I can personally speak to that happens semi regularly. If you have a group of friends, we recently started doing something called Music Video Monday, and we'll come up with a theme and say, all right, today this is pump up, it's a pump up song day. Today this is a remember your teen years day. And if everybody shares a video, like, it gets the conversation going. You have things to listen to throughout the day, and again, connects you to your friends, family. So there's a few. I'm sure I could come up with others, but then my brain would start doing this, and maybe
Well, yeah, and then I
you'd
can
have
even
to
think
rein
of
me
a
back
few,
in.
right? Like when, just full self-disclosure, my mom, went through breast cancer treatment and everything last year, and it was a really insane time. I was getting married and trying to keep my head above water. And one of the things that I did to stay connected with my mom when I couldn't be right there 24/7, I would send her like motivating songs when I knew she was having a rough day, or, chemo was no joke. You can be down for the count in really severe pain for a while. So when I knew she was having those days and I couldn't be by her side, I would send her like, the most uplifting, motivating songs. And, that really can perk someone up. It's more than just the like, hey, how you feeling? Right. It's like, hey, I truly was thinking about you because I heard this song and it reminded me of you. And I think it's such a genuine way to make a connection,
Mhm.
Deal.
All right, Nicole, any last minute thoughts? Anything we didn't touch on that you want to talk about or leave with our community?
The pressure's on, because this is where I say, what can I leave with somebody that's gonna add meaning to their day? That's the therapist brain, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
take it so
Um,
literal. It's like,
I
oh,
guess,
gee.
um, oh, you guys, this is hard.
Or a mantra. Is there a saying that you use a lot with your clients? Or like a motto, or
Like a grounding
yeah.
statement or
Um, Listen to your body's a big one usually, and that, if we're looking at music, like figuring out how you can connect to your body with it, that would be a good one. Um, hmm, Here's a good one, and I literally just looked up at my desk. I have a quote. It's by the Dalai Lama, and it says, "When you talk, you're only repeating what you already know, but if you listen, you may learn something new."
Ooh.
well, that's very fitting.
Yes.
I
So,
like my wheel. I can feel my wheels turning. I love stuff like that.
but thank you for giving me that moment to think about that, and I was able to luckily look up and see, but that's just how near and dear to my heart this all is. So I literally surround myself with it, and that's something we can all learn how to do, is figure out when you relate to something, how can you surround yourself with it?
And
I
I
feel like
noticed,
doing that helps us be more authentic with our clients. Like, what do I surround myself with, and how can I use that, to relate with my clients? So that's good.
Mhm.
Nicole, I noticed you have an instrument on the wall.
Yes.
I do. That's a mandolin. And I'm going to be 100% transparent and say I don't know how to play it.
It's very
That,
um,
pretty.
it's
yeah.
very pretty, and I do have a goal of learning how to play it. And I actually got that as a Christmas gift a couple of years ago. And I had just kind of casually said in conversation um, several times that I wanted to learn how to play something small, like a ukulele or something. And my husband, my dear sweet husband, thought, oh, I'm going to find another instrument that kind of is like a ukulele. And he got me that. And
Oh,
I got very intimidated and said, I don't know how to play that. I don't know. But now I'm so motivated to learn to play it someday. And I did do one online lesson once. right at the beginning of pandemic, actually. There was this mandolin instructor who was doing free online lessons, and I took one. And after that, I was so excited. And then I didn't do it again because I've learned that I'm a more like, I need to be physically in front of somebody to take on a skill like this, but having it hanging behind me always just keeps me thinking about it. Plus it's pretty, and it, I always now pick out the mandolin in different songs when I'm listening because I have it in my head that I'm going to learn to play it someday. So that's another kind of like a sort of a mindfulness thing. Now that I've got this image in my mind, I pay attention for it. So
cool.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. And then bomb drop. I have a surprise. Kelsi doesn't know yet.
Oh, stop. I love surprises.
You ready for this, Kelsi? Is our audience ready? Okay. If you guys loved what Nicole had to say and you think that might be interesting to work with, stay tuned because she's coming on to be a therapist. So we get to nerd out and make our brains happy together more frequently.
Come with us.
So I had to say that to
I'm
say,
here.
we talked about this beautiful discussion of music and coping and therapy. So if that resonated with anyone in the audience, check us out and we can get you connected with Nicole in the next, hopefully, month or so by the new year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Me too.
Sorry, I'm ridiculous.
I love you. I had to save it as a surprise for you. All right. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being here. I appreciate you. I'm going to see your face all the time. I'll probably send you a song after this to thank you. And I need those worksheets. So I'm going to follow up with you. Those music.
I can send that to you.
Yeah. Next week, we have Michelle coming to join us. She is also a licensed professional counselor. She's going to talk about telehealth. Started even in the pandemic. It was going a little bit before then. Ran in the pandemic, and we're still here. So we're going to talk about, kind of dig it apart and see the benefits, who it's best for, all that good stuff next week. So don't forget to
like, subscribe, and share with all of your loved ones
and friends and coworkers.
Everyone. All the people.
Okay, I'm done. Okay, bye guys. Have a great day.
See ya.